Well, I think that one could speculate and say, look, after 56 years of rule by the same family in Gabon, this coup offers an opening for the country to start again, because we must remember that the 56 years of rule by the Bongo family has not really transformed Gabon into a prosperous country. It's a country with a rather small population. When his father was in power, there were less than 2 million. Now, since he has been in power, they're just slightly over 3 million. Now, a country of such vast natural resources, oil, wood, and other things, that has only 3 million people, to have a third of its population living in abject poverty, there has to be something wrong with that. So the appearance of family rule amidst poverty and misery in itself is offensive. It must have been offensive to many Gabonese. But then to add insult to injury, that the father is succeeded by the son, and then the son goes on to preside over rigged elections and continued deprivation and poverty, that in itself would have provided really the ingredients of a situation that definitely would have led to a coup. So the implication, as far as I'm concerned, is that at least now this offers an opening for the Gabonese to sit down and think about where they want to take their country and how to get it there. Now, of course, military takeovers usually end up reproducing pretty much the same situations. But in this case, and in other cases that we have seen in recent times, I'd rather give them the benefit of the doubt and say, let's see what they are going to do. But clearly, I think that the Gabonese now have an opportunity to re-examine where their country has come from and where they want to take it and how they want to take it there. I think wherever there are governments that can be rightly accused of misrule, military coups cannot be ruled out. And of course, so far people have been pointing fingers at places like Cameroon, where the president has been in power for a very long time, where Cameroonians, at least the vast majority of them, from what we understand, are not happy with his leadership. He is reputed not to live in the country. There are also other countries, and it's not just Cameroon. So this might spread. We saw a spread of multi-party democracy in the late 80s to the 90s. It seems like we are moving back to the era of coups, because multi-party democracy, as we were promised, does not seem to have delivered the kind of governments that we expected to have. So I would not be surprised if this spreads to other countries. But now going to the question of transition, military coups usually lead to military governments where military officers turn out to want to monopolize power in the same way as the governments they threw out. But I think that the best option would be for the military officers who have taken power in Gabon to sit down with the civilian political elite, both opposition and those of the ruling party, to try and come to some consensus around what country they want to build, what kind of place they want Gabon to be moving on from here. I think that a consensus building process would be absolutely necessary if they are to avoid further turmoil and possibly more coups going ahead. Well, the French have had a rather negative history in the countries that were once their colonies. The entire Francophone Africa is in turmoil, or is in ferment of one kind or another. And a great deal of what we have seen following coups in these other countries is that there has been an upsurge in anti-French sentiment. I can predict that we are going to see the same thing happening in Gabon. Now, what does this have to do with? This has to do with the fact that the French have continued to dominate their former colonies. They usually seem to be in cahoots with governments that run their countries badly, governments that are run by small cabals of elites who siphon off everything. They go and buy property in France, they invest in France, The French are seen to dominate the economy, to dominate military affairs, because they tend to have army bases in all these countries. So there is a certain degree of dissatisfaction regarding relationships between France and ruling elites in Francophone Africa. And this, I would presume, would be at the root of the disaffection that we see in the streets each time there is a coup. I don't think that Gabon is going to be any different.